Jesus Christ, you people suck. Wow. Wolverine wanted to be in.
Back in the days when we played video games, it was hardcore for the nerdy and lazy. Now things have changed and all our video games are also for the casual and lady. But that's okay, you know the score. We told you a million times before. Playing consoles, not just games, is in the past. And every week you listen to the best damn internet radio crew. It's the N4G podcast. It's the N4G podcast.
All right, it's time for the best episode ever of N4G Radio, episode 650, and why not be a good round even number for this special occasion? This is for the week of May 3rd, 2021, and on the show this week we have Anthony,
That's right. Start at the bottom.
we have the Wombat,
Yep.
and we have Gambus Khan.
Greetings,
You
programs.
goddamn right. That's not a pre-recorded message.
Goddamn right.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Woo! This will be our most trafficked episode in a year since the last time you were on.
I've been listening to the show. It's been great. It's still the best video game podcast. I mean, I've listened to a few other podcasts. I listen to podcasts all the time, but the other few video game podcasts I listen to, I mean, they're great and all, but this is where I feel like I'm among friends. Even just by listening to the show, I feel like I'm among friends.
Well, you know you are always welcome, and everybody on the planet that listens to the show would prefer you to be on every week.
Why, thank you. Unfortunately, I got a job that sometimes works quite often, so.
All good. Well, we're going to enjoy the time we have with you today. So, let's talk about some video games. I'll start with you, Mr. Khan. I know you're probably not going to go through every game you played over the last year, but can you give us a little bit of what you have been playing recently?
Yeah, 2 words. Well, 3 words. Monster Hunter Rise.
Well, there it is.
It's I'm absolutely in love with this game. It's I don't know if I would say it's better than World, but I would say that at the very least it is just as good as Monster Hunter World. There are a few quality of life advantages to this game. I like using they've introduced a dog for those of the non-initiated into this game. There's dogs now that you can ride, and yeah.
Okay. I know Drew talked about this last week, but I still laugh every time somebody says you can ride a dog.
Yeah, and it is awesome. I mean, you're like on the dog, and you're literally running probably double the speed of a full-on sprint with just a regular character. So, and if anybody has played the past games, you know, when you sprint, you're using up stamina the whole time, so you can't really sprint that much. So now you have a dog that's probably twice as fast as a sprint, and there's absolutely no depletion of stamina, so you can just fly through the map area from one side to the other in a pretty quick time, and it's really fun. You can even attack with the dog as you're on it.
Well, I would hope so. But the real question is, can you pet the dog?
Yeah, you can.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, and it's so good. It is so good. I've played a lot of multiplayer a lot of random multiplayer. I'll just jump into somebody else's game. If they don't have a full 4-player party, I'll jump in and help out and reap some of the rewards and advance quite a bit that way. As a matter of fact, I think I'm about 35 hours into it, and I just yesterday reached high rank in the game. Because a lot of the random multiplayer games I would jump into, they would be still fighting some of the earlier monsters, so I didn't advance quite as quickly as a lot of people have in the same amount of time put into the game. But just the other day, they've actually added a free DLC update, which added 4 new monsters and a whole list of a bunch of little tweaks and improvements throughout the game, and a little bit of extras and little cool things. They lifted the level cap, or the hunter rank cap, from level 7, and now evidently you can go all the way up to hunter rank 999.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, it's a fantastic game. My main weapon that I use is the lance, and back in the past, I would usually pick something quick, like dual blades is a quick weapon, long sword, sword and shield. Those were weapons that kind of made you feel like you were in more of a traditional action game. But I was always kind of like, these big weapons, they move real slow, and they're real clunky, and they're real lame. But in Monster Hunter World, I started using the lance. And it is a little bit of a clunkier weapon, a little bit bulky. But then I discovered the lance dash move, where your character literally sprints forward with the lance, and it kind of opened my eyes to that particular weapon, to where it's like I can actually cover quite a bit of ground with this move, and I can also be attacking the enemy at the exact same time that I'm on the move. And it actually added to the mobility of the weapon quite a bit, and it actually made it real fun for me. So that's the weapon I've been playing mainly so far. I mean, I think I've only tried 2 other weapons so far in the game: sword and shield, and the great sword. A great sword is still kind of a clunky game, but I might return to it later. But I think I'm gonna play with a little bit more sword and shield, and I was also thinking about getting into ranged weaponry. I was thinking about maybe trying out the bow, because in some of my hunts, I've noticed that some of the bow players are just like really awesome. Like, they would like be shooting a whole bunch of arrows at one time, and it was really cool. I know that you're not a fan of the series, Zero.
I've tried many times.
How about this? If you gave Monster Hunter World a shot, I will be your sensei.
Well, I did give Monster Hunter World a shot. This is Rise, right?
Rise. Yeah, Rise. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, I tried World, and I mean, it's fine. And then I got kind of frustrated. I especially got frustrated with the multiplayer, because, like, if you try to join somebody's game, like, if they haven't seen the cutscene, you got to sit there and wait on them to watch it. And it just, it was really clunky. But I don't know. I don't know.
it's a game that just by changing the weapon, it almost feels like you kind of almost have to relearn the game again, just because of the depth of the weapon. But I feel that once you learn how to use a particular weapon, and I think everybody who plays the game, I think there's like at least one or maybe two weapons that will actually click with probably any kind of action gamer. I feel it's kind of the whole gambit of if you want to play methodically or if you want to play it much more of a traditional action game. I feel like the wide amount of weapons, the 14 different weapon types, I feel like there's something for everybody pretty much. And it is kind of a commitment to learn all the little systems of the game. I was actually thinking about trying to get my wife into it, but she told me right off the bat that just the item menu alone like turns her off on wanting to learn how to play a game like that. And I was just kind of like, fair enough. So
Yeah, those games are definitely overwhelming for people who don't play games, and even for some people that play games.
yeah. But I mean, I'll say this, and I've said this with with World. It seems like with each game, they inch a little bit closer to being like much more accessible than the last one before it. And I feel like Rise, with like the addition of the rideable dogs and the silk wire traveling, I feel like it definitely feels much more of a straight up action-y game, even more so than World.
Yeah, my son loves Monster Hunter World, so eventually we'll have to pick up Rise.
Dude, are you going to jump in on it, Ryan?
I'm going to, yeah. I haven't yet, but I do plan to.
Oh man, it's fantastic.
Was there anything else, or is that kind of been your main go-to?
Yeah, that's been my main go-to. I actually a couple weeks ago also picked up another game that I have yet to play, but I remember you talking about it, Ryan, and I think Anthony mentioned it as well. Is Undertale?
Oh yeah, my
Oh,
son
yeah.
loves Undertale.
Yeah, I saw the physical copy of it at Best Buy, and I was like, "Oh, Undertale, sweet." So I'm a proponent to physical copies. I'll buy. I don't mind buying digital copies, but usually buying a digital version of a game is pretty much like my last resort of how I. Especially considering lately of like certain things that have been happening specifically with Sony, where it's just kind of like, I think I'll still mainly get physical copies for the time being. So, but yeah, that's pretty much been my fondling lately. So, my long overdue fondling.
Yeah, it only took a year to get here, but we'll be all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna hop over to Anthony because I know you got a big one to talk about. I don't know how much you can talk about how much you've played it so far, but what else you got going
Yeah,
on?
so this week's been a week from hell because my car broke down. So finding time to play video games between 5-kilometer walks is from to and from the repair place. This has been fun. I haven't played too much. I've played more Shadow Man. I think at this point, seeing as how I've played it before, I'm ready to write the review, even though I'm not done. And the only reason why I say that is because I don't know how much more wandering I can do before like the point sets in. That, man, the memory of this game is far more concise than the actual game itself. It's very much of the era, and the more I think about it, it's very much an Acclaim game as well. Like, I don't think other publishers would have done this. Like, I can't even say, I hate the term, but I can't even say it's like a Metroidvania at this point. That this game is so directionless. Now, if I pull out my N64 copy, it gives me a map that has like the general locations of the items in the game. That doesn't really help me still, because like there is a proper order to do everything, but you also have to collect enough Dark Souls to open certain doors. But those, I love that game. I hate that game. It's a love-hate relationship in its truest form. What else have I done? Before I talk about the thing, not necessarily what I've played, but what I've been doing. I changed the hard drives in my PS3s. I have one that's custom firmware, and I have one that is like a slim standard model. And I have been installing every game I own to the hard drive. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, it's a fun process.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever downloaded anything on PlayStation Network, imagine that, but with everything you own.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, exactly. Including some of the games I've installed. Wow, Drew was not kidding. You were not kidding, Ken. Hyperdimension Neptunia looks like a PS2 game.
Yep, it sure does.
Holy shit. And I'm like, is it going to install anything? Oh, no. Is it going to update? No.
Nope.
Holy
Nope.
shit. Because I got a package, I'm going to call it a care package from Drew of a bunch of stuff he didn't want anymore. And included in those were the review copies of Hyperdimension Neptunia.
Those are like curses we pass around between everybody.
I love that it's just the oddity of owning them. I think is funny enough because it it lacks any character. It's just a silver disc with an Arial font on it that says Hyperdimension Neptunia, and then some of them on the clear packaging, which I didn't realize they came in, has that sticker that says no embargo.
Yeah, that's how we used to get games. It's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, so he sent me a bunch of stuff. Like, I couldn't believe it, including a Witcher 3 Gwent set.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So now I guess I have to learn how to play Gwent.
I start to wonder, speaking of those silver discs, I start to wonder, I know Rule of Rose is like one of those sought-after games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have a silver disc version of Rule of Rose. I wonder if that's worth anything.
I mean, probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's sitting in a binder somewhere, and every time I look, it doesn't even say the name of the game on it. It just says, like, confidential, whatever.
Does it have the code on it?
What code? Oh, the the SCD whatever code.
Yeah.
It's got that on it.
So like that is an identifier that someone could put in and be like, yeah, that's Rule of Rose.
Yep, I actually have a silver job, as Ryan likes to call them, of that one.
I'm other than the kind of dirtiness of selling it. I mean, yeah, because I'm sure there's a fan of that that game that is willing to double dip and buy that copy too.
Yeah, I'm
Just
not
to see if
going
there's
to
any
sell
difference.
it. I was just curious, but yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move on to it. Pokemon Snap. I haven't played a lot of it. New Pokemon Snap.
yeah, it's so weird because like I watch like the conversation of video games online, nobody is talking about this game, and I don't know if it's because Returnal came out the same day.
Yeah, Returnal has definitely stolen the conversation, but I think part of the problem, and this is, I think people forgot this game came out.
Yeah, Nintendo didn't really
They
push it
hyped
hard.
it up when it got announced, and then the last time they've really talked about it, in my opinion, was the Pokemon Direct, and then that was months ago.
Yeah.
So, for anybody that doesn't know, Pokemon Snap on its surface level is a photography game, and I'm actually referring to the N64 version here. The game is on rails, so imagine kind of like a on rail shooter, but you are shooting with a camera rather than a gun. And it starts off very simplistic. You go through, you take photos, and it's actually a little bit faster paced in this game in giving you new mechanics. So in the original, you had to slowly earn your way into getting items that you could use to interact with the environment. At first, I think it's an apple that allows you to kind of lure Pokemon, and they'll eat the apple, and then you can get a better shot. Or you can hit them with the apple in the original, which was always great. In this game, the first mechanic outside of the camera is this pulse sensor that allows you to detect odd things in the environment. And Pokemon react to it. So if you're quick enough, you can send out that pulse. They'll make like a shocked face, and you can turn and get that shot in. And what I think is the most impressive part of this game is the amount of customization for the controls. You have a zoom in option this time, which I can't recall being in the original. Maybe it is. And you can customize. So you have like a cursor that moves around first, and then you have the turn. So you can actually use it all on one analog stick, move the cursor, and once the cursor is moved outside the center box, the actual view starts to turn. But if you use the right analog stick, you can just turn automatically. And you can actually customize the speed of your turning and the cursor. I know that sounds minimal, but like in a game where it's all about capturing these moments, that's extremely important. And so I haven't done it yet. Again, I really, when I say I'm not far in, I am not far in. But it appears that there's going to be different trails on the same course. So in the original, if every time you did the beach, which is the first level in the original Pokemon Snap, it was the exact same line you travel. And in this game, it appears that there's going to be different ways to go. And there's night versions of the stages, which makes sense if there's Pokemon that are going to be up more at night. And I can't believe how quick it is to start leading you into the puzzle mechanic, which is always what I liked in the original. Now, I don't know how much it gets to the point that the original game does, but it kind of is like setting up a game of Mousetrap, where you are trying to activate all these portions in order to get a specific shot. And already I could see the elements of like, oh, I need to do this here to get this Pokemon's shot. Like, yeah, I can take a picture of it sleeping, but I'm going to need to wake it up to get the most amount of points. Because this game also is based around a point system that is clearly defined. It's not just like, yeah, this photo looks good, but it doesn't follow the criteria. Like, it gives you the criteria that wants it as in an interesting pose, hopefully a good background. Are there other Pokemon in it? And how much of the frame does it fill? The only weird part of it right now is that I chose English voice acting. There is English voice acting in it. but not all the text is voice acted. And like, I'd be okay with that if it was just like, a quick, oh, and then you read the rest of the text. But at times they will read every single word of the text, and other times it's just that sort of like quick, huh, and then you have to read the rest. And I'm like, that's a very odd decision. Because like clearly the voice actor did something for this moment, but didn't read the whole thing. It was just one of those like weird choices, but the game looks fantastic. And anyone that likes Pokemon that likes Pokemon outside of just the RPG will probably get this game already. But if you like photography, because I was explaining this to a friend who's not as big into Pokemon, but loves photography, I'm like, it's that, but it's made it into a game. And I can't think of, other than one other game, which is Umurangi Generation, that this is it. Like, Pokemon Snap is kind of the only game that really made photography into a game, not a simulator. Because I think even that PS3 game Africa, which I've never been able to play because it's super rare, was just kind of a photography simulator.
What about those like creepy Japanese games?
Hey, we don't talk about those.
We talk about them all the time. What are you talking about?
We don't have the expert here, anyways. Fuck you, John. If you were here, I probably wouldn't have made that joke.
Looney Pop.
Yeah, I really love Pokemon Snap so far. I don't know. There's just a joy I get out of seeing. So I don't even recognize some of these Pokemon because clearly they're brand new. But seeing like a Magikarp in a lake that is clearly too shallow, just splashing around, brings me an odd sense of joy. Bidoof, which is like a beaver Pokemon, making a dam. These stupid looking Pokemon like at work. It's something that makes them feel like animals, which unfortunately the games never really could do. So I will have more to speak about that next week as I go through. But so far I'm loving it. I did turn off the motion controls though. You can spin around and use the actual motion of your Switch to control the camera, which is neat, but not for me.
Pokemon Snap is an interesting thing for me because back in the day when we were getting these silver jobs, the first game I got from Nintendo for review was Pokemon Snap, and back then Nintendo would send you the cartridges, and then you had to send them back when you were done. So the copy I got already had a save file on it, and I had to delete it to play through it. That was a weird time. And Nintendo was one of the hardest people to get review copies from. Now they're pretty easy. But like back then, if you got one, you were super special, and you had to send it back. It was a weird thing. I don't think I did any more Nintendo stuff after that, because it's like, it's not that you just want the free stuff. It's just that it's a hassle to have to get it, play through it, and then send it back.
Yeah.
Like I've been offered things like TVs and stuff like that. They're like, well, you got to send it back. I'm like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
I just don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you got to pack it up. You don't want it to get damaged because then it's your fucking fault.
Yep. So,
yep.
No, thank you. I don't. If anybody offers it, like Razer is one of those companies that'll send you like a laptop, but then you got to send it back. I'm like, I'm good. I don't.
I don't remember who. Maybe it was Giant Bomb when I listened to them, but I want to say that they did it for somebody else too. Like Nintendo would bring in consoles.
Oh yeah, back in the day,
and they would
bring
lock
them
them to your desk.
Yeah. And stand over you while you did it, and then it's such a weird thing, and I'm just like, no, I'm good. That's why I'm glad that we've been in this long enough that we saw the transition from like them sending things to you to just now, hey, here's an email with a 12-digit code in it, which is so much better.
I have to assume I have like one of the last silver jobs that the site got now with Natural Doctrine because it's a PS4 game.
Oh, absolutely. We got very few PS4 games. Like PS3 was the last big time of like physical copies. PS4 and Xbox One was almost all 100% digital.
Also, I see that you stuck Drew with the NIS America games.
Oh,
Because like every single one I have.
I just mail them to him in a bulk package. Here's a bunch of NIS jobs.
Mugen cells or Mugen cells. I don't know how to pronounce that one.
I don't know how many people got the Bound for Blood disc. I don't even know where that's at now. I may have it. I don't remember.
Bound for Blood?
Yeah, that was on PS3 or PS4. I don't remember. The Bound for Blood,
Bound by
like
Flame?
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I Drew had it.
Yeah, and he sent it
know
to
if he
me at
has
one
it.
point, and I don't remember if I sent it off to some. I don't remember.
No, I'm pretty sure you sent that to Drew.
Maybe that's what it was. I don't remember.
Because Drew had it to play for Phoenix Down during the Year of the Bad Game where we all went, this game's alright.
Yeah, that game's fine.
And I want to say he might have sent that to Dustin?
I don't know. Hard telling.
Yeah.
That disc is a special disc that has been in multiple people's hands.
It's yeah. And it's not a bad game either, so it's not like we're trading awfulness. Like
Not
I have
spreading
now.
the hyperdimension Neptunia around.
I'm going to play it now.
Okay.
Because we've not got. I'm not saying I'm going to play it all. Let's make that clear. I have to play some of it. I was trying to get to the point where I could actually see gameplay footage of, like, actually the game would start up, and boy, they just chatted.
Yeah, they talk a lot. That was the game. That was the game that got popular because initially it was like every girl in the game represented one of the consoles.
Yeah, I'm assuming they strayed away from that.
Yeah, they got away from that because they were even color coded. So like the Xbox one was green.
There was a Sega logo.
Yeah, one of the girls was Sega,
like,
one of them was PlayStation. It was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still weird, but yeah. I don't know the Japanese games, man. Like, I know I joke about the Switch store being bad, but I was on the PlayStation store this week. Oh my, that's gotten equally as horny. I don't know what's going on out there, man.
It's the pandemic. Let's blame the pandemic.
Everybody's stuck at home, so let's play some of these games. Oof. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right, Wombat, you're up.
All right.
Whoa.
So, oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, you just like come in real loud. Hello.
Oh, sorry. So I have played this week a couple different things. Jacob really wanted to watch me play Immortals Phoenix Rising, so I played a decent amount of that, probably 3 hours or so. I'm only 6.5 hours in or so. I like that game. Some of the puzzles frustrate the shit out of me, because they decided they wanted to use like physics-based puzzles, with like the balls rolling and all that stuff, but they didn't decide to put in sufficient guardrails to make sure that if you do what you're supposed to do, the balls go where they're supposed to go. And so sometimes shit just like blows off to the side. There'll be like a little ramp or whatever that the ball is supposed to roll down, and then it hits like a burst of air and gets shot up to the next level, and sometimes it just shoots off to the left or right and doesn't go where it's supposed to go, which is a little frustrating. But generally speaking, I like that game a lot. So I'm sure we'll finish it. It'll probably just be one of those long haul games that I finish over the course of a year or so. I also started playing Control, which I had not played previously. And I'm early in. That game is weird.
Yeah.
And it's really, I don't know. Again, I'm only like an hour in, so it's hard for me to comment on it much, but it's super like heavy-handed. The dialogue's a little like cheesy is the best way I can put it so far. But again, I'm only an hour in, so I'm sure it gets better. So I'll keep playing that and see if I enjoy it while I'm waiting on the DLC for Valhalla to come out, which is I think 13th.
Yeah, it got
which is
delayed,
next.
didn't it?
Yeah. So that's the next big thing on my radar is that first DLC for Valhalla. In the interim, I may end up picking up Monster Hunter. I've been thinking about it. I've been going back and forth about it, but
Yeah.
I keep hearing such good things about it, and I know, like I said, that my son would like it too. So I may end up picking that up this week. But overall, it's relatively. I mean, with the exception, like I said, of the Assassin's Creed DLC coming up, it's pretty slim pickings for me over the next couple months until Dark Alliance comes out.
Are you gonna bother with the Mass Effect trilogy? You gonna go through it again?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I love those games, but I'm not generally the type of person that plays through games a second time. And I don't know. There's just I have my memories of those games that are perfectly crafted within my mind, and I'm good without going back through them again. Maybe 30 years from now. But not now. I'm good without going back through them again.
All right.
Like I said, it's very rare that I ever go back and replay a game, especially an RPG like that. I mean, especially from the last couple generations. Like I've gone back and replayed games from the SNES and PlayStation 1 era, but it's pretty rare for me to go back to recent games. So I tend to have a limited amount of time to play games, and I'd rather use that time to experience stuff I haven't experienced before rather than play something I've already finished.
Yeah, it makes sense. I like to revisit old games, but I find myself never actually finishing them again.
Right.
So it's because I'll be playing through it. I'm like, I know what's going to happen. I know what to do.
Yeah, and story is so much. Like I am the type of person that story and setting and characters are much more a part of the experience for me than even probably the gameplay is most of the time. And so it's hard for me to go back through a really story-driven game when I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, totally understand that.
But yeah, so really, like I said, there's not much until Dark Alliance, which I am really, really looking forward to because I love the series of books that that game is based on. So I'm jazzed up about that one for sure.
Yeah, I watched some gameplay of that this weekend. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. I'll run through indie games first, then I'm gonna talk about the demo, and then I'll talk about the other game that seemed to be drawing everybody's attention this week. So I checked out Second Extinction. I don't know if anybody else booted this up since it was on Game Pass. It feels very much like Left 4 Dead with dinosaurs, and I don't think that's a bad thing. It definitely feels early access because it is. There's definitely some weird things going on in there, but it does feel a little more final than some early access games. It even has achievements, so like a lot of early access games don't have those. It is definitely not a game you want to play by yourself. I tried to run a solo run, and I stumbled into so basically the way the game works is like, it reminds me of Evolve, where like you start with your team in like a ship, and then you're going to drop into a certain part of the map, because the entire map is just one big map. And each area is overrun with a certain amount of dinosaurs, and it's all real time. So like as players kill the dinosaurs or thin out the amount of dinosaurs in an area, the area becomes more clear, allowing you to do the objectives. But if you fall into like a really heavy populated area, you will just get smoked like super fast. So you kind of need to level up and have the right equipment to be able to tackle some of the harder areas. It's definitely fun with other people, but if you're going solo, this is definitely not the game for you. because this game will constantly beat you down, especially if you stumble into an area that you probably shouldn't be in. But no, it feels good. The controls are a little wonky. Like it's got a little bit of like acceleration ramp up on the aiming that I don't really care for. But again, it is early, so maybe I'll revisit it when it gets a little closer to release. Anthony, I know you wanted this extra code, but I did check out Protocol. I don't know if you had a chance to play it, or you just disappeared.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I realized I was muted too late. Yeah, no, I haven't had the time to play it, unfortunately.
Okay, so that game is weird because it literally tells you right when you boot it up, it's like, hey, this game is going to put you into positions where the only option is death.
It's kind of a joke game. I've heard enough about it where I wanted to play it.
Yeah, like, and some of it is super interesting. Like a perfect example early on is you run into this like little robot AI thing, and it's like if you break protocol, you will be killed. And the protocol is don't throw a snowball at the AI robot. So of course I threw a snowball at the AI robot, and it self-destructed a nuclear bomb. So this game has a lot of that. One of the things that really kind of frustrated me is like it's real fickle about. So like you can look around and interact with things in the environment, and sometimes when I would move my cursor over things, it just wouldn't wouldn't register, and it was really frustrating, especially in the opening sequence where you're trapped in your escape pod and you're trying to grab the fire extinguisher, and like my character just would not grab it. So I don't know if that was the game fucking with me or if it was actually just like a glitch that it wouldn't let me grab it. So, but it is clever. It's kind of interesting. I don't know how much more I would get into it. Armello, which we'll talk about later because one of the games with gold. I had never played this game, but it was on Games with Gold, so
It's
I
a
downloaded.
strategy game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those hexagonal strategy games. I deleted it as soon as the first battle came up. I was like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah. Every time I see the artwork for that game, I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm like, the name sounds neat. Oh yeah, that's that game.
Yeah. I tried the weekly tale of games without an invert option. Boris the Rocket. I booted it up, jumped into the game. It's a first-person game, and you can't invert controls, so I just deleted it. I can't play that way. Angels with Scaly Wings is the Ratalaika Jam for the week. It is a text adventure with dragons. Dragons with vests and ties.
Nice.
Not really. Yeah, I don't like text adventures that much outside of like the text adventure of Nier, which I just did, by the way. I'm really getting into Replicant. I was never able to finish the 360 game because there were so many problems with it.
I was unable to finish this game because it's not great. It's basically what you could say.
But I am playing through Replicant, and I just did the Forest of the Myths, which was the text adventure, and I love Nier Replicant, but goddamn is it a 360 game? Like, the fact that there's no fast travel makes that game probably 5 to 10 times longer.
And this game has faster movement, that I'm pretty sure, than...
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So.
Which is funny, because Vice actually mentions fast travel at one point in the game.
Yep. I'm pretty sure there is a form of fast-ish travel, but it's like so late in the game that you go...
I am just, like, one of the most frustrating things is, like, when I was out in the desert, and it was like, well, now you got to go back and see Popola, and I'm like, dude, that's like a 4-minute walk.
And, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, you're only forgiven because you did this back then. Like, if you did this now, it's not cool.
Yeah, no, I love the songs in this game, but I've heard them so many times now from having to run between point A and point B.
Yeah, and I think there's songs that are, like, I think the best songs in the Nier series, and I realize there's only 2 games, but are from this game. But, boy, I think the soundtrack for Automata works better as a game soundtrack.
I
just
mean,
because it's not nearly as symphonic, so it feels more like game music, and that there's a reason why that is done. You know, yeah, because you eventually get tired of hearing the field theme and all that stuff.
oh yeah, the field theme. Like at this point, I'm like, oh, I like this song, and then like 2 seconds later, I'm like, God, I've heard this so many times. But Near Replicant feels like a blueprint for Automata, which is weird because Automata was a completely different developer. So that's also a weird thing.
Yes, but yes, it was a different developer, but the kind of guy who was mapping everything out,
The same
clearly,
director. Yeah.
yeah. Well, see, I don't know if he was the director or the creative director. There is a difference.
Sure, but it's going to have his tones
yeah.
to it, even if he's a creative director.
I mean, I think they worked in the bullet hell stuff a lot better in Automata, and the side-scrolling bits in Automata, like the part where you're in Automata where you're going through the factory with all the robots, and it's all side-scrolling basically until you get to the sort of center pegs, and then you're inside that and you're through to the other side, and now you're doing the side-scrolling again.
Yep.
I don't want to speak of that moment because I think that moment's really important, so I'm not going to spoil anything in it. But yeah, it's a I don't know. Just there's something like I feel like I'm overstating the importance of Nier, but it is such a unique experience that I'm certain at this point most of the listeners either have played or tired of hearing of. But it's just nothing like Nier in terms of the story it is telling. Like the closest I can get to it in terms of like what the creative director Yoko Taro is saying, or doing is like Kojima-ish, where there's a bigger story, but he's delivers these small moment to moment pieces of like different stories. Like he's saying something, but he's also doing these small parts to keep you engaged. And he's playing around with game mechanics, albeit nowhere near as well done as Kojima did. But you know, if you look at Death Stranding and you look at Nier, I feel like there's definitely parallels there. And then I was saying to Drew, the only game I can think of that really feels like, because he mentioned El Shaddai, which is kind of Nier-ish.
I love that game.
And I was saying like the Anima games are very clearly.
Oh, absolutely! Like there are
well.
times where I will confuse a moment that I had in Anima as opposed to a moment I had in Nier. They seem very inspired by Nier.
Did you play the Nameless Chronicles?
Is that the
Anima?
second one?
Yes.
I played like the first couple hours. I did not get nearly as far in that game. That
game, like there's some certain moments explaining who the Nameless is, who you're playing as. And I was like, this is so much like a Nier sort of story that it's trying to tell now. And just the way the enemies are and stuff. Yeah. Anyways, I feel like there's definitely importance to Nier. You'll never hear that about Drakengard. That game is...
And there's like 3 of those.
And none of them are great. It's amazing how many times they got to do a fucking Drakengard game. The first one... woof. The second one, I don't know how they got it, and it's published by like Ubisoft with Square Enix. It's really weird. And then the third game is wow. The third game feels like a PS2 game, but it's a late PS3 game.
Yeah. The Drakengard games they're something. But anyway, I played War Dogs: Red's Return, which is a 2D beat 'em up game with anthropomorphic animals, like dogs, and it's mostly dogs, like dogs beating each other up in the streets. It's not bad. It looks like the icon for the game looks real bad, and you hear the name, and you're like, "This is real bad." It's actually not a hateful little beat 'em up.
Does one of them say I have a bone to pick with you?
Oh, probably. There's some bad dialogue in that game. There is some bad dialogue in that game. But anyway, all right, let's talk about the big boys. I downloaded the Resident Evil Time demo. I didn't know I was actually going to play it because it's like, this is only playable from 8 p.m. till 8:05 p.m. or some dumb shit. Fucking time demos.
Yeah, that's stupid.
But I did happen to be on my Xbox when I saw the tweet that the demo was live, so I booted it up. I just kind of wanted to see what it looked like, performance-wise, and what kind of just a taste, because I don't want to play that game until I can play that game. And I will say that it is very, very pretty. It runs fantastic on the series. Oh my goodness. With the ray tracing turned on, running, on an OLED screen. Oh my goodness. That's a beautiful game. And it feels like Resident Evil 7. A lot of item pickup, a lot of item management. The combat feels very similar. There's definitely some fucking twisted shit going on in that game that I can't wait to unravel when it comes out. So I'm really excited for that game. I cannot wait to play it, and I don't want the big lady to step on me because I'm not a weirdo. Just gonna put that out there. I didn't even play, because the demo's 2 sections. One of them is the castle, one of them is the village. I didn't even play the castle section. I played the village section. And by the way, the demo is only an hour. So you can play for an hour. Or whatever. Alright, you want to talk about Returnal? I'll talk about Returnal. So, I didn't think we were going to get to talk about Returnal, because for some reason we didn't get a code. Then Friday night, late Friday night, I got a code. So I was like, alright, let's boot this up. So I heard, and I'm not gonna steal this because this is not mine, but I heard somebody describe this game perfectly after spending a few hours with it. This game feels like if PS1 era Psygnosis made a Metroidvania that was a roguelike. So, like, first off, it's Housemark. Is it Housemark or is it Housemarque? I don't. Anybody know how to say that properly?
It's Housemark. Marquee would have 2 E's.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think it's Housemark.
All right, so Housemark, known for a lot of arcade shooters. Resogun. Then they do Alien Nation. They also did, what were those 2 last ones they did on the PS4? Oh my god.
There's Resogun.
No. There's 2 that they did recently
Hold
on.
on. I'm on there. I was trying to see. There's Nex Machina.
Yeah, Nex Machina is a good one.
And Matterfall.
Matterfall. Those are the 2 they did recently, and it feels like a lot of Nex Machina is in Returnal. It is very much a third-person shooter where the enemies are kind of bullet helling, shooting like tons of projectiles in spread patterns, very easy to see. The shooting, the movement, everything in this game feels so sublime. Like, playing this game is a pure joy. Like, this game feels fantastic. It's one of those games that it really nails that 5 seconds of fun kind of like design decision. Like, it just feels so good to play, and it's like everything. Like, when you die, you're like, oh well, I fucked that up because I wasn't paying attention, or I got sloppy, or I didn't do this proper movement correctly. And it's like, it has the Metroidvania elements where eventually you'll find things like a sword that allows you to open up new areas. There's a grappling hook that you can use to move between areas. There's a teleport system that you can use to move between areas of each biome. Each biome is kind of its own design and style. It's got its own type of enemies. It's got its own kind of like environmental layout. The map system reminds me a lot of Metroid Prime, where it's like the 3D map where you can see doors that you have been in, doors that you can access, doors that you can't access, doors that you need keys for. It's multi-layered, so you can see when items are above and below. Everything about this game feels so good, and then you get to the roguelike part, which is going to make or break this game for a lot of people. So there's no secret this game is really hard. Like, there is a huge challenge to, getting through this game. And every run that you go on is randomly generated, so like the levels will change up. So the layout is not always going to be the same. But it does carry over some things that you do. So for example, when you find certain keys, you can carry those between runs. So you can use those keys on doors in your next run. You will find these like items that you can add to your guns, which will upgrade guns' ability. So like firing rate or reload speed, which by the way, reload is active reload. It's called overload. Your guns don't use bullets. So when you have to reload, if you stop the timer in the middle, it automatically reloads. There's a currency that you can carry over called ether, but you can only carry so much of that ether, and that ether can be used to buy upgrades. You can upgrade your suit, so you can find these health packs, and when you get 3 of them, it gives you another, trinket of health. But that does not carry over. That's only on a run basis. So normally I get really frustrated when, games are like that and you don't kind of continuously go. But I've really enjoyed just playing this game. Now the question is going to be how I feel 5 to 10 hours in as opposed to the 3 to 4 hours in that I'm in now. Because right now I've still only been in the first biome. Now I know a lot of people have beat the game, hardcore gamers out there beat it in the first try. They didn't even die on a boss because they're so fucking good. But I've just been kind of taking my time going through. I've made it to the first boss 3 times. He has beaten me all 3 times. The first time on his first life bar, the second time on his second life bar, and the third time on his third life bar. So I'm assuming next time I get to him, I'll beat him, because I'm not a pro elite gamer. But as you beat that boss, the cool thing is you get an ability from that boss that you get to keep. So think of it like Mega Man. So you get an ability from the first boss, but you will get to keep it, and you don't have to fight him again on your next run. You can if you choose to, but you don't have to. So I think the big thing with this game is how many times am I going to be still cool with playing through those opening moments of that game the longer it gets. The thing that has saved this game for me is that it is super fun to play. Like, I've had a ball every time I've played it. Like, I've done runs that have lasted 5 minutes, and I've done runs that have lasted an hour and a half. And I will tell you that when you die on an hour and a half run, it is really fucking deflating. Like, if you can imagine playing a game for an hour and a half.
Welcome to roguelikes.
True, but most roguelikes don't have runs that are an hour and a half. Like, this game seems to have longer runs than a lot of other games.
A good roguelike should have runs that last. I think the only game that I think is really great that you'd really have to be stretching it is like Binding of Isaac, which most runs end at 5 or 6 levels, like that's it. But there are longer runs of that where you're going through other areas. But like, I think back to like playing oh god, what's it called? There's Rogue Legacy, which has like longer runs for sure. I mean, you can do them shorter if you don't want to go and get everything, but you're trying to collect the money and everything. So I think more than anything, like, I'm kind of jealous I don't have a PS5, not because the gameplay sounds like it's up my alley, but it reminds me of Alien, like the first one.
Yeah, there's a lot of really dark and like Giger tones
and
some of the
that
areas.
is my jam.
And there's a really good story in here too. Like, it's really intrigued me to find the logs. It's intrigued me to like decode the alien language to, I'm sure you've seen it in the trailer, the house. Like, I've been through the house a couple times and I'm like, oh, this is cool. What is going on? Like I say with every game of this type, I would fucking love a linear, or not necessarily linear, but a one-shot through of this game. Like, not a start over after you die. Like, I would love to play through this game from start to finish, like a continuation. Like, Housemarque has created a world and characters and a story that I am super invested in, enough that I have replayed. You know me in roguelikes. I am 3 to 4 times through and I'm done. Like, how many times do I have to restart this bullshit? But this game, so much of it is good that I have now played through like probably 10 or 15 runs. And granted, some of those are just me messing around, kind of exploring, getting killed in a stupid way. And some of them have been legitimate, like, I'm going to take my time, go through this, and then, oh shit, I died after an hour kind of runs.
Did you play the Persistence?
I did not. No.
So the Persistence isn't. I only bring it up because it's a roguelike and it's kind of a different sort of take on it. What I liked about that is that, yeah, it's deflating to lose a run in that because you lose everything. But what was neat was it like as soon as you could activate a teleporter, you could just teleport straight to the next sort of set of floors. And that was originally a VR game. Not that I'm in any rush to get back in VR just because I'm worried about my vertigo kicking back in. But I played that on the Xbox, and like I thought that was a pretty impressive take on a roguelike just because of there's not too many horror roguelikes that are like first person. So that are good, in my opinion. I'm sure there's a bunch of them that are there. But that was a game where I'm like, Ken may like this. I don't know. You're so picky with roguelikes. So
I mean, there's like only 2 that I enjoy, so yeah.
Yeah.
I really like Returnal, though. I really think that people are starved for games, and I think a lot of people are going to buy this not knowing what it is, and I think a lot of people are going to not be happy with what it is. Especially after you play it once and you're like, God damn, I love the way this plays, because it plays so good. Like, this game feels so good. It looks amazing. And then that first time you die and it starts over, you're like, oh, what happened? Did I forget to save? You know, like that mentality of people because they don't know what a roguelike is. And I just wonder how this game will do in the long run because of that. I will be interested to see how Housemarque kind of handles it over time. Because I don't, you know, I am all for difficulty options and things like that for making games accessible. Obviously, you want more people to play your game. But if this is the game that they want to make, I'm all for that too. It just may limit like how long I play it and how much people really kind of invest in it as a general rule. Because I don't know. I think Hades and Rogue Legacy are the 2 besides Binding of Isaac that have really hit like a mainstream success as far as these types of games are concerned. Like there's not a ton of them that make.
Yeah. Rogue Legacy was,
but
Rogue
even
Legacy
those are not like are not like big. They're just
no, I think the biggest
critical
one is,
darlings.
well,
Yeah, Rogue Legacy was excellent. I love that game.
Yeah.
Rogue Legacy I think is probably the most popular, and I say that because they handed that out for free at one point on PS Plus.
Yes.
So a lot of people played it just because it was the free game, and I think they had the best setup for it. Like the way that you progress in that game is I think pretty clear, unlike Binding of Isaac, which I think is an easier game to play a run of than Rogue Legacy, because Rogue Legacy isn't like there isn't like a kind of a set amount of time you spend in Rogue Legacy, unlike Binding of Isaac, where I feel like it's a pretty short exploration of the area. But Binding of Isaac is very cryptic with how you unlock new things and how you progress as a player through that. Hades is so different when it comes to all that, which is the reason why I was kind of surprised you didn't like it, Ken, because it knows what it is and it paces its story around the fact that you're going to die. And the fact that you can die, come back to the sort of main hub area, and there's still more story for you and more dialogue based on how your run just went, it feels more natural than I think any of the others. I'm trying to think if there's anything that would have been big, and like honestly, you're right. I don't think I can think of. I guess somewhat. Nah, not really. As I say, Dark Cloud was kind of roguelike-ish, in a sense, but they don't really lose anything on your dives into the dungeon.
But even then, are any of these games like I understand there's a difference between a critical darling and like a commercial success, but outside of Hades, were any of the Binding of Isaac is fucking massive. I get it.
But it also was sold for very little in the beginning.
And Returnal is $70. We need to remember that.
Yeah.
And $70 is a huge ask for a game that, if you'd never died, would take you what, like 3 hours to beat. The time comes from doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And granted, there are people out there that love that shit, but there are people out there who also want the God of War 20-hour, the Horizon Zero Dawn 20-hour, those kind of games, not like a repeatable, I'm going to do this first level, 50 times kind of game.
By the way, I have your answer, and you're going to be like, Toe Jam and Earl is probably the most well-known roguelike. It is. It's a roguelike.
I understand that it's a roguelike, but I think it might have been the most well-known back then, but today nobody gives a shit about Toe Jam
I mean,
and Earl.
from any point in time, I'd say that's probably the most,
It's because Sega was trying to
popular.
sell it. Yeah.
But I mean, like, that game is lovely for people that don't like roguelikes. That's a roguelike for you.
Yeah. I like the old Toe Jam and Earl. And I like Returnal. I do. I just wonder how I'm going to feel about it after 10 to 15 hours.
I mean, that could be said about most games.
But most games, I'm not playing the first level after 10 to 15 hours. How much can I do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again before I kind of like... Okay.
I don't know, Mr. Overwatch, how can...
Hey, that's a competitive shooter. It's a different story. Leave it alone. And besides, I don't begrudge anybody who wants to enjoy these games. It's just, man, I just wonder how much... I know the Sony audience, come on, we've seen their boilerplate, like, say what you want, the quality of those games is amazing. But
they have it clearly structured.
There's a structure to a Sony first-party game.
And I want to say it's probably because they don't... Not that I want to say they don't take risks, but they've assessed the risks in a certain way that this is how these games should be done to get the most sales and most critical reception.
Yeah, they're all about that Metacritic score.
And like, hey, good for you. Like, I have no complaints with that.
It has worked. So
yeah, you're right. Like, how is this going to be taken? And I can tell you, the Sony fanboys are all over it because they don't have anything else right now to scream over.
Yeah, but I don't want to get into the fanboy conversation because I'm just gonna say this and I'm gonna put it out there.
Don't harass reviewers.
If you have created a Twitter image that has the review scores and you created that yourself, you're a douchebag. Because nobody gives a fuck. Like that doesn't change your enjoyment of the game. Also, if you hashtag the marketing slogan, you are also a douchebag. Okay, stop treating these companies like fucking, I don't even know.
Stop advertising for free.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Feel bad
You're a
about
fucking
it sometimes
shill.
when we talk about games that were given, but then like
that's the
at
point
the
of them
same time,
giving them to us is
well,
we're supposed to be judging them. Yeah,
you're right, but it's like sometimes like if I like a game and I got it for free, I do question like, am I a shill? But then I look at something that I don't like, and I know everybody's tired of hearing it, but like Disaster Report 4, I was excited for that game. I asked for that game, and I was horribly disappointed. And it's like moments like that, or Ice Age Scrat's Adventure, which is a game I have some weird fondness for, but it wasn't great. I'm not really shilling for that product. Like, I am enjoying things on a natural basis. It is a thing I think about, and I get the game for free. These people are usually buying it. Like, why are you buying in? Like, don't hand them money, then advertise for them. What are you, fucking crazy? People get paid for that. don't do the job for free. If you're getting paid to do that stuff, good on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kinda shitty
And you
still,
put that
but,
little
like,
hashtag ad at the end of your tweet, that's fine. But if you're just that douchebag who's you know how many Returnal, like, square images on Twitter I've seen with all the review scores that are not from Housemarque or Sony? And I'm like, I get it, it's a good game, but why did you create this image?
I don't mean to soapbox, but, like, you know, there's a reviewer who's like, it's a little weird in this day and age to hear Xeno on the front of everything.
Oh, I saw that tweet.
And, like, yeah, there's some toxic people in this world that didn't like the fact that she brought that up. She's, I apologize. She's Native American. I don't know what the terminology is down. She'd be indigenous if she's Canadian. I think she's American, though. But regardless, like, yeah, I feel like that was an interesting thing to bring up that I don't know if I would have brought up. But yeah, it is kind of weird in this day and age to hear that. I think it's an obvious nod to Alien, mind you, which has got the xenomorph. But, you know, it was a take, and it was a minor take. And some sites and stuff ripped into her for it, and, like, I'm pretty sure, deleted her Twitter. And it's like, just, you know, it's fine if you like a game, but Jesus Christ.
I mean, do you and not to just point out the PlayStation fanboys. Did you see the Xbox fanboy that took, like, the screenshot of a reflection of the character in Returnal and said, "Oh my God, sub 720p"? And I'm just like, dude, like, what?
Oh,
like,
wow.
What?
Yeah, it
makes
wasn't
you...
even just a reflection. It was a reflection that was then zoomed in on.
Yeah, and it's like, well, what the fuck are you even doing? Like, why does this matter to you?
I saw a whole bunch of stuff on Twitter this morning about that. Like, oh, this is Sony's Craig. Everybody look at Sony's Craig.
It's like, what the fuck?
Sony's Craig? Oh, yeah. I thought you meant our stupid bot.
No, not that Craig.
Fuck Craig. Fuck Craig everywhere. Like, for real.
Craig.
Anyway. But yeah, Returnal is a very fun video game. I need to play some more to see how I feel in the long run. Alright.
Alrighty then.
No, we're not doing that shit. Stop it. You son of a bitch. They don't even know we left.
They do.
Well, they do now.
I like to pull back the curtain every once in a while.
And pee and...
Shut up! I had 2 bottles of water before I start the show. Leave me alone. It's the only thing I need now in my office now. I've got a refrigerator. I've got everything else. I need a freaking toilet. That's what I need.
Yeah.
My wife joked about buying. She's like, "That's the next thing I'm gonna buy for your office is a toilet." I'm like, "Don't do that." All right. So let's talk about what's coming out this week. If you've got one of those fancy new consoles, we've got Chroma Quaternion. I don't fucking know. Hood, Outlaws and Legends, and Resident Evil Village. And that's it, if you got them new consoles. If you got them old consoles, we've got the Colonists, Non-Guns, Doppelganger Edition, Skate City, as well as Hood, Outlaws and Legends, and Resident Evil Village as well. For Xbox...
Is anybody interested in that Hood game? Like, I know that it's coming out, and I have heard, like, no one being hyped about it at all.
I mean, I'm going to be real honest with you. It's a 3v3 stealth multiplayer game.
Yeah, right.
So if you're charging for that, in this day and age, how hard is it going to be to get 6 people, or 3 people even? You know, like... I don't know, man.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a game that should have been free.
Or on Game Pass, or PlayStation Plus, or something.
Yeah.
Speaking of Game Pass, I guess we could have talked about this in the news, but hey, guess what? Square Enix is stealth dropping another game on Xbox Game Pass. This time it's Dragon Quest Builders 2. That's out on Tuesday, I think. We've also got The Colonists, Dull Grey, Skate City. I think that's it for those consoles. Oh, it's time for the Switch. There ain't that much. But boy, there are some games on here. Holy shit. Some of the stuff we've already mentioned. We've also got Cyber Hive, Raiden 4 X Mikado Remix, Techno Tanks, Total Arcade Racing, C14 Dating, and finally, here's the one. You ready? You even have a guess as to what I'm going to say?
I don't even want to try to guess.
All right. We've got Poker Pretty Girls Battle Fantasy World Edition.
Oh wow.
So I saw
Sweet.
this. I saw this game on the PlayStation Store. Don't look at this game on the PlayStation Store. It's uncomfortable.
Pretty bad.
It's man, people are horny. All right. Speaking of new games, you want to know what your free games are if you have Xbox Live Gold or PlayStation Plus? For Xbox Live Gold, you get Armello. You get Dungeons 3. It must be like the strategy game month for games with gold. For Xbox 360, you get Lego Batman and Tropico 4. Where's John when you need him for the Tropico scream? For PlayStation Plus, again, it just destroys games with gold, and there's only 3 games. For PlayStation Plus, you get Wreckfest, the PS5 version, which is a wonderful game. You get Battlefield 5 for the PS4, as well as Stranded Deep. 3 quality games. Maybe it's time for games with gold to go away. You think? I think. As we mentioned, Dragon Quest Builders 2 coming to Game Pass this week. Also, I have seen a lot of conversation. So, Microsoft introduced the FPS Boost a couple months back. Boosting up games on Series X to 60 and 120 frames a second. I have heard that the biggest drop is happening this week, and it is upwards of 70 games.
Wow.
That's a lot of games.
Heck yeah, it is.
I cannot wait to play a bunch of games at 60 or 120 frames a second.
I think you mean, that's a lot of games!
That's right.
You want fries with that?
Product Basement Taco Bell.
I'm just a birdie too.
Birdie. Birdie. Tiger. Tiger. I watched that movie a few weeks ago. It's still fucking good.
It's. I feel like people wouldn't. I hate to say this. I feel like people wouldn't get it now.
I don't know.
The joke is not. I don't know, man. The because I feel like people would look at it and be like, "This is racist." No, it's not. This is making fun of the terrible dubbing that used to happen, and that is all white people's fault.
Oh, an Xbox.
Purposely put in. Sorry, the purposely put like new footage that you'd record with just random dialogue. You can listen to the original audio, and he's not saying anything that makes sense.
I think that's the best part.
The I Need Gopher Chuck scene, I think he's talking about his like underwear riding up. That would be so great. We've taught him wrong. As a joke.
I'm Betty.
Oh, yeah? Why don't you try your foot to my face style? Went low.
Yeah, that movie's pretty good. An Xbox Series X and S, as well as the PS5 version of Jedi Fallen Order, is due out for release this summer. No word yet if it will be free.
I enjoyed Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, it was a good game.
I won't go back and play it again, but I did enjoy it.
I think I would boot it up to see it running at a high frame rate and then probably turn it off. But if you've never played that game, it is in Game Pass, and if it gets upgraded to like a higher frame rate or something and you get it for free, and you've not played it, totally go fucking play that game.
Yeah.
So here's an interesting rumor that cropped out this week. So I don't, Jez Corden over at Windows Central has been like teasing the shit out of some games coming for the Xbox. Still, nobody knows what the Blue Typhoon game is. Nobody knows what that is yet. But one of the games was apparently a fantasy RPG, and this week we got even more information. Is apparently it's being developed by IO Interactive.
Aren't they busy doing a James Bond game?
They are doing a James Bond game, but from this report, I guess they're building an exclusive fantasy RPG featuring dragons for the Xbox Series X as well. It's apparently a pretty good ways out, so it's not like it's coming this fall or anything. So, yeah. Halo Infinite details for PC includes crossplay, cross-progression, and ultra-wide monitor support.
Sweet.
No, it's funny that this would come from this, but you know that Apple and Epic and all that shit's going on in the courts and all that fun stuff over Fortnite? So
Yep.
the court filing has actually leaked a few details about Microsoft and some exclusives and some sales numbers. So according to the court report, Epic is totally against bringing Fortnite to xCloud for obvious reasons. This report somehow has also shown that Stalker 2 is only exclusive to the Xbox for 3 months. It also showcased that 40% of Fortnite's revenue comes from the PlayStation 4, which is kind of crazy. But probably the biggest news that came from this court filing is that Microsoft has considered. They announced this week that their PC revenue sharing is moving to the 8812, very similar to Epic Games. But in this report, supposedly they're talking about doing that with their console store as well, which would be absolutely mammoth, considering that the current split on all three major consoles is 70-30. So Microsoft has, of course, denied this because it is not public knowledge, or they have changed their minds, or they're not ready to announce it. But there you go. I tell you what, if Microsoft started offering 8812 on the console side, I bet we'd see a lot more games on the Xbox. That's a pretty good revenue split for developers, really. I don't... There was a big Outriders patch this week. I have no idea what it did because I have not booted that game back up. I need to do that. I don't think I have anything else news-wise. I thought I did, but I clearly do not. So that's all the news. Unless anybody has anything else.
No?
No? Alright, there's no emails in the inbox. But the Twitter, how many of these are just retweets? I swear to God, we have no tweets, and they're all just retweets about Jason being... How can y'all motherfuckers know this dude's coming on the show? And you don't even ask him no questions.
No questions for me, huh?
I swear, I've got 400 retweets and not one question.
Jason, I got a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
What's your most anticipated game for the rest of the year?
That's a good question.
Oh, I would like to say the next Metroid game, but that's not going to be this year.
Fucking Nintendo.
Yeah,
They've been dangling that Metroid Prime trilogy in my face for what now? 3 years? I know Anthony gets mad every time I bring up Metroid Prime trilogy.
As I say, I don't have an issue with Metroid Prime, but yeah, trilogy, I mean... my uncle works at fucking Nintendo type stuff. I mean, really, how many times have we heard that? I'm not even denying that it could... Of course it could run, but I have seen no proof of that existing other than just people trying to manifest it into reality.
yeah.
I'm one of those people, though.
But you're not. You're not going on and saying it's happening.
Well, no, I'm not
That's
going
the difference.
online and making up fake rumors because
Yeah,
I
well,
don't,
that's
I don't
what
need
I'm
the
trying to say.
I don't need the Twitter attention like some of these
Yeah,
grifters out there
Well,
do.
that's grifters is a very good word to use. To
I mean, there's
describe
so
people.
many fucking fanboy grifters out there. It just kills me.
But yeah, no, I agree with Metroid. I mean, at this point, I have no idea. I have no idea what it's going to be. Even is it going to be a first-person shooter? Is it going to feel more like the first game or the third game? Because the third game's very linear in comparison to the first.
The third game is okay.
Yeah,
That first game is a fucking masterpiece.
and that second game is very weird.
That second game I do not care for.
I don't feel the same way about it as I do one, but I still like it.
Actually, I got one game that came to mind. It's I don't even know the title of the game, but it's the trailer of it came out last year. It's an action adventure game that basically where you're the Monkey King.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
Chinese game.
Yeah.
Was it Wukong?
Wukong. Yeah.
Yeah. That game looked really cool.
Yeah, it does look awesome.
There was a game announced this week for the PlayStation 4 and 5 out of the China game show. What was it called? Lost Soul Aside.
I didn't see that one.
So I was curious because like I saw a bunch of chatter about it on Twitter. And I won't mention who was chattering about it because it'll kind of give away why they were chattering about it. But I watched some gameplay of that. This fucking Devil May Cry. Like it's like the dude even jumps like Dante.
Oh yeah, I do know this game. It's I believe it's like one guy making it too.
I mean, if it's one guy, that's impressive. But it literally looks like Devil May Cry with the dude with Dante in a black trench coat and white hair.
Well, it's not. Well, there's that guy, and then the main character, Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, which he admits that he was inspired by.
I mean, that's not inspiration. That's almost plagiarism.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. But I want to say this was. It's probably not one guy anymore, but it was started by one guy, like doing this, because I remember this coming out around Final Fantasy 15. So I'm excited to see what it is.
I watched like a 10-minute gameplay demo of it, and I was just like, wow, that is a straight fucking Devil May Cry. I mean, all he needs to say is flock off Featherface, and we're in there.
Yeah, I'm actually without audio. I'm actually watching the demo of it right now, and yeah, I can clearly see the Devil May Cry influence.
I mean, like even when he like jumps, like it looks like that. You know how Dante has like that specific kind of narrow jump that he does, like that.
Yeah,
just looks like Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I just saw that just as you mentioned it.
Yeah.
It looks like Devil May Cry with a slightly different fashion sense.
Yeah.
The thing is, in terms of like what I'm excited for seeing this year, besides the Monkey King game, or a theoretical Metroid game release, I would like to see B-level B-level games make a comeback. It kind of seems like anymore it's all about either the AAAs or the indies, and there's like a huge like gap in the middle. And I truly feel like the B-level games is where all the creativity comes from.
If you want B-level games, just buy an Xbox.
I was going to say THQ Nordic games.
So you messed up my joke, Anthony. God damn it.
I don't know. There's. I definitely understand that feeling. I think we've started to see towards the end of, I guess, the end of the PS4 cycle, we started to see that again, specifically with THQ Nordic.
But to be fair, THQ Nordic owns like every game company out there, so.
Well, their Koch Media does, yeah.
Well, it's Embracer
or
Group.
whatever, or Embracer Group, right?
Yeah.
That's fucking. They change their name every 5 minutes. I'm gonna say because like Biomutant
Biomutant looks rad. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been waiting for that. That's a bunch of ex-Avalanche people, or was anyways. Maneater was a pretty, I wouldn't call that was Tripwire. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty B tier game. Which if you haven't played it, Gambus, you need to play Maneater.
Maneater was
Maneater?
awesome.
Maneater.
It's a shark
this-
PG.
Yeah, it's a shark PG that feels like you're playing an underwater version of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yeah. It's that game, and it's getting DLC this summer. I'm totally there.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I love Maneater. That game is. Oh. If you've not
Chris
played
Parnell.
a game yet, yeah, play Maneater.
Chris Parnell's lines in that game are fantastic.
I still love Maneater. I'm looking forward to Biomutant. I mean, I don't even know what's coming out. Well, here's the big question: What's E3's back?
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to seeing at E3? What do you think we're gonna see? We ain't gonna see Sony because they ain't coming.
Hopefully, we'll see some footage of Halo Infinite that actually inspires some confidence.
What, you don't like Craig?
It sucks, man, because I love Halo and I want this new game to be good so bad, and I just have zero confidence.
It's so bad too because not only is it like 343's kind of last chance to make a good Halo game, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like Microsoft's first big first-party game for their new console.
Yeah,
Talk about a little bit
Yep.
of pressure.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I mean, a lot of people will play it, but because it'll be included in Game Pass. But
And the multiplayer's free even if you don't have Game Pass.
right,
So, like, I'm sure there'll be a bunch of people playing it, but the question is it going to be any good?
I hope so.
Man, it needs to be really good. That's the worst part is at this point, it doesn't even need to just be good. It needs to be really good.
Really good, yeah.
Yeah. Because so far, took 343, 4 years to make the Halo Master Chief Collection work. Halo 4 was okay, and Halo 5 was not good.
That story in Halo 5, I know I've said it before, is fucking awful.
Oh, it's garbage. It's straight
Oh, what-
garbage.
Yeah, it's
What
real
if you-
garbage.
Played it. Well, so apparently they can just make Spartans again? Sure. Sure, that doesn't totally remove kind of the whole premise of this fucking series.
Do you remember that when you would find like a hidden terminal, it would take you out of the fucking game and load up an app on your Xbox?
I tried to fucking forget it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Halo 5 was a bad video game. The multiplayer I hear was incredible, but I'm kind of like,
Okay, so as someone that really, like, that's the only sort of first-person shooter I liked playing online. It was okay. The problem was is it didn't feel like Halo multiplayer. It felt more like a dumbed-down version of Call of Duty's,
Warzone?
No. Modern. Oh, if you're talking the big one with the card system, I never played that.
What was that thing?
not
No,
it.
Warzone's their battle royale. What is that? I know what you're talking about, and I can't think of what it's called.
The card game in Halo was not whatever it was called. Was not of interest to me. I played the standard sort of deathmatch modes.
Yeah, Halo
game
Big
didn't-
Team
the game
Battle
didn't-
was my jam.
But
Yeah.
and that's where most people got their joy out of that series. Of course, there's Big Team Battle and then Team Battle, and then there was the new mode in Halo 5 that allowed you to use those disposable weapon cards.
Oh yeah, but
Um,
also had a like it was PvPvE.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never played that. I had zero interest.
I think I
But
played
the
a couple
problem was-
matches of that, and I just couldn't get into it.
The problem with the multiplayer in Halo 5 looked pretty, it ran well. It just, because they decided that iron sights were necessary and all this other, like all the changes they did to the controls made that game feel different. because as I described sort of Halo 3, it felt like a slower version of something like Unreal, right? So you had all these weapons around the map. You would kind of run to them, but the characters didn't move nearly as fast. You weren't sort of bunny hopping everywhere. It was this slower paced sort of team shooter. And I loved that about it. And then of course there were, maps that had vehicles. There was maps that, were very claustrophobic. And yeah, you had those feelings, but they tried to be Call of Duty. And at that point, Call of Duty was doing the wall running and all that stuff. And here's a game that's like, you can float and you can dash, and this isn't Halo. This is something else. And like, I understand trying to put it forward, but like what they did in 4 with the like special abilities that you could change out is a far better take than what they did with 5. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad multiplayer game. It wasn't what most people would have been looking for out of a Halo. Oh, man, Halo 5 was a fucking mess, and I waited outside at midnight to pick up that fucking game.
Halo 5 was so bad, other than the clip that is on my Xbox of Killer Wolverine killing himself with his own grenade on a jump pad.
Oh.
That video is one of my favorites. So he throws a grenade.
It shoots across the jump pad, hits the other jump pad, and he hits it in the midair?
No, he throws it hits a jump pad, it goes across the map, he then goes into the jump pad, jumps over, lands on his own grenade, and it kills him.
Oh, fucking good luck.
That is one of my favorite game capture clips I've ever caught in my life, because I can just hear all of us laughing. Even though you can't hear it in the video, I can just hear all of us laughing when that happened. Because that is such a Killer Wolverine move. Like, takes me back to the fucking Burnout game where all you would see constantly on the screen was Killer Wolverine crashed. He would just wreck every 5 seconds.
So I'm looking up games that are coming out this year, looking kind of for weirder stuff. I know I'm a fan of this. I don't think anybody else is. Origami 2.
Oh, I did not like that first. Like, they wanted it to be like
Tenchu.
cel-shaded Tenchu, and it just was.
I love that game.
I don't like that game.
Axiom Verge 2, which is an indie title, of course. I don't really like the look of that game, but if it plays anything like the first game, I'm in. Oh my god, there's a lot. Blood Bowl 3 for those that like Blood Bowl.
I think Blood Bowl is one of those games that people claim they like, but nobody actually plays.
Bright Memory.
I played the demo of that game, and I don't think it's great.
Yeah, well, we'll see the full game, I guess.
I mean, just be fair. And that demo is not like a 10-minute demo. It's like an hour or two. Like, they actually sold it.
It's like it's like $5 or whatever. Yeah. These don't have actual dates attached, because if I go through the dates area, it's kind of boring.
Everything's delayed.
Not that too. Earth Defense. Speaking of double A or B tier or whatever, Earth Defense Force 6.
Oh, speaking of delays, did you know Fall Guys got delayed for Xbox and PlayStation? Well, it was announced.
Really?
It was announced for PlayStation this week, but it was delayed for Xbox into like later in the year.
Huh.
So, which is bad, because from what I hear, that game is a ghost town.
Yeah, I haven't. It's been forever since my son has booted it up. So,
like, people playing that on PC and Switch, I guess, are saying that it's a ghost town, and with this Xbox and PlayStation version, they were adding crossplay, and they really need some players in that game.
Fall Guys?
Hmm?
They're adding a PlayStation version of Fall Guys? They already had one.
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Among Us was announced for PlayStation. My bad.
Yeah. Among Us shouldn't be a ghost town.
No, Among
Fall
Us.
Guys was
Fall Guys.
Fall Guys launched into
PlayStation
was on PlayStation Plus, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. The Switch and Xbox are delayed. That's what it
okay.
was. I get Among Us and Fall Guys confused, and I know they're nothing alike, so don't jump
No,
on
but
me.
they're both figures. I understand.
Yeah.
They both hit popularity around the same time. so I'm not like surprised. Sorry, but Edge of Eternity is a, I guess, indie RPG.
Supposedly
That looks
like
pretty good.
inspired by Final Fantasy or something.
Oh, very clearly inspired by Final Fantasy, but it's more of like a classic RPG rather than Final Fantasy is. Sorry, I'm just kind of going through to see what there is that's not like AAA stuff. Because there's a
I
lot
want to
of
know
AAA.
when. I want to know when those Xbox games that they announced are coming out. What is it? The Ascent and the Gunk.
Oh, I forgot about the Gunk.
I want to play both of those games, and I have no idea when they're coming. Remember that other fucking like Giger porn game? What was it? Scorn?
Scorn, yeah, I have a few. I kind of thought that was going to be. I'm not saying it's vaporware, but I didn't see that coming out anytime soon.
That game.
I feel like that's the
disturbed
game
me.
that's going to come out and it's going to die instantly, only because it's been talked about for so long. Like they were paying for advertisement on Easy Allies for a while.
Yeah,
Like every month.
I
So-
saw somebody tweet at them the other day, and they said, "Look, we're working on the game. We're just not talking about it." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not good."
That game. Oh, this is a pull. That game reminds me of a title whose name I cannot remember, of course. And I look it up sometimes just to see if anything happened with it. And the story has not come out yet, but there's a game in the Steam Greenlight era, which is weird because it only feels like a couple of years ago, but and it was kind of like an Alien Isolation game, and the idea was that there was robots that you were like going through this abandoned space station, and it was like the first like, oh my god, Steam Greenlight might actually be a thing, and that game never came out. They talked about it for years. They were clearly working on it, and then something must have happened behind the scenes, and it's just dead. And that's kind of how I looked at Scorn. Like it for some reason gave me the same vibe. Now, if they come out, awesome. Try to. I feel like they're gonna have to fight with Agony over the visuals.
I don't think
To some
anybody has
extent.
to fight with Agony.
Yeah, no, I meant like fight the terrible press that Agony had. Like, is this
There's
not
a
that game
sequel
that
to
was
Agony.
really bad? Like, no, that was Agony.
Agony's got a sequel coming out.
Fuck off. No, they don't.
Yes, they do. I got a press
Oh,
release about
why?
it. Yeah.
Oh, the game was called Routine. That's what it was. And if anybody wants to see a really good pitch, go look up the Routine trailer. Because, oh my god, it felt like the perfect horror game, and it just...
I can tell you about an awful experience I had this week. So, Genshin, Genshin Impact is out on PlayStation, and this week they put out a patch for the PS5 version. Let me ask you a question. If you had Genshin Impact installed on your PS4, Ryan, maybe you did this. You got the 1.5 patch, and it just installed, right?
I haven't booted it up in a while, but probably.
Okay. So that's not the PS5 version, by the way.
Okay.
So what happened is, this is what happened. So I got the patch. It says it's 1.5, which is supposedly the PS5 version. So I downloaded it. I started playing it. I was like, huh, this looks the same. I don't really see a difference. So I went on Twitter and I said, hey, is Genshin Impact's patch just making it PlayStation 5 compatible, or does it have its own app? And everybody on Twitter is like, it has its own app. Look for it in the store. So I go to the store. I go to the PlayStation 5 section, right? There's Genshin Impact. I open that app in the store. Now, granted, remember, I still have Genshin Impact PS4 installed on my hard drive. I open Genshin Impact on the PS5 store. It says play. I'm like, okay, so are you thinking the one that I have on my hard drive is the game? What I had to do was I had to delete Genshin Impact PS4 version and re-download the PS5 version. Otherwise, it would not give me the option to download the PS5 version.
Wow, that's weird.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? Because even somebody on Twitter said, no, you can keep both versions installed if you want. I was like, number one, why would you ever want to do that?
Yeah, why would you want to do that?
Number two, why can't I just download the PS5 version, or why can't the PS4 version just upgrade and make me move it over? Oh my god. What a fucking nightmare. Like, how many people have downloaded that patch for the PS4 version and just assumed it was the PS5 version? They're not even playing the PS5 version.
Yeah, it's really weird.
And you know how, like, some games have that, if you hit the three little dots, it'll say switch to PS5 version? Genshin Impact it doesn't even have that.
That's super weird.
Yeah, I don't... Sony, you fucking up with this. Your system UI sucks. Sucks.
Yeah. Fix it.
Sorry, Anthony. Did you have more games?
The only one that like really stands out as a game that isn't like a AAA that we're waiting for, because I saw Ghostwire Tokyo and all that stuff, but like all the games that have been announced that are AAA I kind of ignored. But like we're still waiting on this is a AA, I would say, Shadow Warrior 3.
Oh yeah, but that's PC only.
What was it again?
Shadow Warrior 3.
Oh.
Yeah, it's PC only right now. Hopefully they'll announce a console version.
Well, it's like Serious Sam 4 is PC and Stadia only.
So it's PC only. Cool. Stadia. Did you know that they just added a search bar?
Well, yeah, but the joke is that they didn't need it before because all your games could fit on one page.
Well, so yes, that's that, and it's fucking by the people that made the search bar. Basically.
Yeah, the search bar people didn't have a search bar in their game system.
Fucking hell, man.
Google Stadia somehow got all of the what is that company called? Jason probably knows this. The Trails of Cold Steel people.
Falcom or
Falcom.
Falcom, yeah.
Yeah, they got all of those games on Stadia. Was it Trails of Cold Steel 4?
Yeah, but they're all on PC already, so it's not that hard to do.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of PC games that are not on Stadia.
You're right, but like I'm pretty sure that all those are done by NIS America, NISA. So
I think the only place those games don't exist now is on Xbox. Phil, what are you doing?
I think if you're talking about the Stadia bar, I think I saw a thing on Twitter, if I'm remembering it correctly, the other day from a journalist that said, I started to write an article about Stadia getting a search bar as a joke, and then realized this thing kind of sucks. So then they felt compelled to write an article about it because it sucked.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Stadia is... I played it a couple times, and it works, but it's like, I don't want to play my games that way.
That's the back of the box right there for you.
I mean, it's true.
Zero tolerance says
it works,
works,
but I don't want to play it this way.
I mean, I don't. Like, I tried... I've streamed games on PlayStation Now, and it's like, the lag is not terrible, but it's enough for you to go, I don't want to play this. Like,
And I played, so back before the PlayStation 4 came out, I streamed Saints Row 2 just to try it. I like rented Saints Row 2 on PlayStation Now on my Vita just to see how it was. And I was impressed with what it was, but I wasn't impressed enough to play a significant amount of Saints Row 2 on that way. I was like, this would be better if, internet was better, but here we are.
I mean, even if you're in so I have a great internet, and I have my PlayStation 4 or my PlayStation 5 hardwired, and even then, I still get lag and drops in like image quality, and I've got like 400 down, internet-wise, which is way above what streaming should require. So, PlayStation Now just seems very hit and miss with like streaming games. Now, Stadia looked really good. Like, the image quality on Stadia was really good, but I could still feel the lag, and every now and then you just get kind of like a weird hitch when you were playing. And if you're playing a game that requires any kind of like consistency, like for aiming, moving, anything like that, input latency, it just ain't gonna fly. Everybody died.
As someone that just re-downloaded a bunch of stuff from PS3 for PS3 from the PlayStation Network, it really doesn't matter how fast your internet is. As I have better internet now, and I'm hardwired, and PlayStation's the fact that PlayStation said that the internet, like playing online, should be free. Okay, and then they started making you pay for it, and I feel like they never put that money back into their network in the slightest.
Did you see that the PlayStation Network went down on the anniversary of the hack?
God bless.
What's funny about it is journalists were so quick to write a story. By the time their stories went live, the network was back up.
Yeah. I mean, like it's fine. Like it works. I'm not like it's way better than it used to be, but it's nowhere near as good as it should be. Like my speed should not be throttled by something out of my control. Like if my internet's not slow and I'm hardwired to the router, there's no reason why a download that is megabytes, like 300 megabytes, takes as long as it does. Now, to be fair, it's not like an absurd amount of time until you download the same size file on my computer, which is also hardwired, and it's seconds, not minutes.
I want to tell you about the worst thing you can download. So there are apps that update when your Xbox updates, like the Rewards app, the Avatar app, things like that. Those things are like 80 megabytes. They probably take a minute and a half to finish. And I don't know what causes it, but it's just weird to watch it sit there and download at like 100K a second for a while, then all of a sudden just boom, download everything, and then sit at 99% for like 30 seconds.
It's so weird.
I don't understand how the internet works. Like I could download a 50 gigabyte game in like less than 20 minutes, but like it takes me 2 minutes to download 80 megabytes.
Yeah, it's super weird.
And then on the PlayStation, you still get the copying. I don't know if you've noticed this a lot, Ryan, but like I got a patch for Oddworld the other day, and like literally took like 30 seconds to download the patch and like a minute and a half to copy it.
Copy it, yeah, I know. It drives me up a wall.
I'm like, what the fuck? It's like 300 megabytes. Why does it take a minute and a half to copy to a fucking NVMe SSD?
Doesn't make any sense.
Now, I'm not promoting corporate espionage, except I am. Someone needs to go and steal. Someone needs to go and steal whatever black magic Steam uses. Like downloading something on Steam, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a while. You know, it's 20 gigs, and it's like it's gonna be 10 minutes. Like, how the fuck does it manage that?
Dude, my Steam downloads are faster than my internet.
Yeah, I don't know how it fucking happens. They need people go and steal whatever they're doing.
Yeah,
damn.
I don't understand it. Like my Xbox downloads cap out at about 245, 300. My Steam downloads like max out at like 520, and I don't even have that speed.
Yeah.
Steam is massive.
It's like trying to download anything on Google Chrome. It takes like 10 years.
Oh my god.
Download anything.
That's because whenever you boot up Google Chrome, it eats like 60% of your computer's memory.
Well, yeah, and you've got to. There's like there's a what do they call their like the stuff that they're not ready to release yet that you can access in Google Chrome. The experimental settings or whatever.
Yeah.
There's one of those that you can change to make your downloads faster, and it's like, dude, just turn that on by default. Like, why do I have to go into some weird experimental settings menu to turn this on?
Yeah, I will never understand the whole, like, well, you got to do this and this and this and this and this to make this thing work the way you think it should fucking work.
Right.
God damn it. I don't understand the need for tech confusion.
Yeah, I don't either.
Drives me crazy. Well, I don't have anything else unless anybody has anything else. I know we don't ever get Gambus on, and I feel like he was underutilized. Thanks, listeners. Nah, I still love you all.
Wait, we vamped and no one sent in.
I don't have anything, dude. Like, literally the last retweet was 54 minutes ago. I don't know what is happening with people.
tell me I suck. Do something, fucking people. Send me tweets. At least open the conversation. Fuck.
Tell me I suck.
I mean, listen, at this point, it's been established that someone's going to say it every month, if not sooner. It's just disappointing that there is no tweet today.
I've got a little bit of a conversational starter.
Please.
Are any of you familiar with the concept of the Raspberry Pi?
Of course.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of them.
Nice. I've been doing a lot of research about them lately, and I think it's something that I want to get into.
Get yourself accustomed to RetroArch.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about because it's such a cheap computer, basically. I was thinking about basically getting one to use as a computer, one for retro gaming, and maybe eventually one to make maybe like a little robot or something out of.
Only you would make a robot out of a Raspberry Pi.
Hey, it's been done already.
Oh, I'm sure it has. I have no doubts about it, but it makes me chuckle because like when I think Raspberry Pi, I think of like let's play some Super Nintendo or Genesis games. You're like, let's make a fucking robot.
Yeah, it's crazy because I've actually bought a couple of books about the subject, and it's almost, in a way, it's almost like an inventor's dream little contraption. I mean, it's got a lot of possibilities of the different things that it can do, and it's for a pretty reasonable price point. It just seems like a pretty awesome thing that's been basically invented over the last 10 years. I think it came out in 2012 was when the first series of Raspberry Pis came out, and I mean it's got its own foundation, basically advertising like computer education for children and stuff like that. It just seems like a really cool thing to get into.
Yeah, I've got a Pi Zero that I put into an old Super Mario Brothers NES cartridge with a USB. What do you call it? The only word that's coming to my head is multi-tap.
Dongle.
You know,
hub.
yeah, like a USB hub. Thank you. And so I turned a Mario Brothers NES cartridge into a emulation computer.
Nice.
And then I've got a Raspberry Pi 4 gig RAM as well that I haven't done too much with yet. I put the OS on it so I could use it as a computer. It eventually will go into an arcade cabinet, which I got to buy the arcade cabinet, which is a long-term plan. But yeah, I love the Raspberry Pi. I think they're awesome.
I need to get a standalone, and I wonder if the Pi is the right way to go, because right now I've got a super long HDMI cable running from my PC to my TV, and I would like to just put something under the TV. But
Raspberry Pi is probably your way to go.
what's the cutoff though? Like on emulation, what's the system cutoff?
It depends on which one you get. I've got the 4 gig Pi, and it. I don't know if I haven't put any emulators on it yet.
How far do you
So I
want
don't
to go,
know.
Ken?
It may run PlayStation 1.
See, that's not far enough for me. I'd want to go GameCube.
Actually, I think that there was a Dreamcast emulator on a Pi. I'm not totally for sure, but
Could be.
I thought I saw a Raspberry Pi playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
I mean, my PC will run anything. I've run GameCube at 4K. So, like, I don't need to do that, but I would like to be able to run those games without issue. Like, I run Dreamcast, I run PlayStation 1. I don't bother with PS2. I would like to do PS2, but RetroArch doesn't support PS2, and I'm kind of looking for a all-in-one kind of thing. I know PS2 is coming to RetroArch, but God knows when.
So, part of the problem there is that a lot of those like PS2 is the easiest one to emulate because it's the weakest of the consoles from that time.
Sure.
But even that right now is still not where it needs to be. There's still issues. Like N64, there's still issues. GameCube just requires a lot of processing power. From what I was just looking at, they have gotten it working on a Raspberry Pi 4, but that there's still issues with it, and there's going to be for quite some time. So I don't know if you're going to have something like it needs a pretty beefy PC to run GameCube and PlayStation 2. No one seems to be emulating the original Xbox, but that's in there.
Yeah, I have no interest in emulating the original Xbox, and there's not much on there that I couldn't play on my Series X that I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
but it's just more of the amount of like actual processing power. I don't think you can fit in a Raspberry Pi here.
I might be happy just going up to Dreamcast.
Honestly, like for the amount that it'll do, you'll probably be fine. Yeah, because Dreamcast is emulated pretty easily. So
yeah, Dreamcast was always pretty easy to, for lack of a better word, to steal.
It's a very basic PC.
Yeah.
So
I have heard rumors that a new Raspberry Pi might come out sometime this year.
I'll tell you
I
what.
assume it would be expensive just because of chip shortages.
I will tell you what.
Right.
If they were easily accessible and easy to find, you know what I hear is like the best little box put under your TV for emulation?
I swear to God, if you give that fucking the name of whatever Ryan mentioned,
No, not the Super Console X. An Xbox Series S.
Yeah, because the emulation, because it's a power enough PC to, if you put in the developer mode, you could install a bunch of emulators.
Yeah, it's like, was it like $20 or something to unlock developer mode, and then you just...
I believe so.
Yeah, you could just run like RetroArch and emulators on it, and apparently it handles games pretty well.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
that's really the only thing that's stopping a Raspberry Pi from doing higher consoles is that it's... Because like the Dolphin emulator, most, if not everything, works well. Like you can get Wii stuff to work on it. So, and high resolutions that the Wii couldn't put out. So I mean, it's just at that point you just need the power to do it. Like PlayStation 2 is still not perfect. Like I could not get We Love Katamari to run very well. Like the 3D portion of it ran fine, but it crashed. The bitmap images were not working properly. So it was very odd that, like, you know, because Katamari doesn't really require a lot to run. But it wasn't, just the emulation wasn't there yet. That was years ago, mind you, at this point.
And truthfully, I don't really care about running the HDMI cable from my PC. My problem is that when something crashes, and if you do any kind of emulation, things will crash. I have to get up and go over to the PC and like reset all the shit, and that's just kind of a pain in the ass. I'm just looking for simplicity more than anything else. Because my PC can handle whatever I throw at it.
Nice. Someday down the road, I would like to build a PC, a gaming PC.
I don't even feel like building a PC now sucks because you can't get the fucking good video cards right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, by the time I would be actually able to afford to do something like that, it'd probably be like a year from now, maybe more. You know, things might be different by then.
It's possible. I wonder. This pandemic has caused these chip shortages, so like video cards, Xboxes, PlayStations are all a pain in the ass to get right now.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, I've said this. I've been saying this since the beginning of the pandemic. I think that the next several years is going to be a era of uh, a lot of innovation, much more innovation than what would have originally happened if the pandemic never started.
Yeah.
I feel that because of the isolation and because of limited resources, I think that a lot of people have basically been forced to think more creatively and conservatively in terms of technology, and I feel that because of that people will actually be able to squeeze more processing power or be able to do more things with less hardware than normally.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens after this pandemic is quote unquote over.
Yeah, I mean, the world has changed so much. I mean, there's no way that we can go all the way back to the way we were, much less how like a big huge event like World War One or World War Two. You know, nothing will ever be the same. But I think that there'll be a time where there'll be kind of like a time of celebration of at least getting back to something that resembles normalcy, and I think much better days are still yet ahead of us. So,
well, I mean, we gotta hope right now, right?
yeah,
Because the last 12 to 13 months have been kind of shitty.
right. So, I'm optimistic about the next few years. So that's just how I'm trying to approach it.
I mean, that's the best way to approach it because it's been so bad for what seems like forever now. I do enjoy the fact that the world has learned that you can work from home. That's been a beautiful thing. Like I knew, especially in what I do for a living, so many companies are hesitant to hire people remotely, even if they're more qualified for the job, because they feel like not being in the office is not a good thing. But I mean, the place that I work has seen increases in productivity over the pandemic.
That's great.
So it's entirely possible to work remotely, and I think a lot of companies have learned that.
Yeah, if you can, if you're able to do it, definitely that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, I can work in my PJ pants. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we never did get any tweets, but that's okay. I'm just happy to have a conversation with GambusCon, regardless. Also,
hey, it's been fun.
Also, Drew and John, haha, you fuckers didn't get to be here for this, haha. No, I'm kidding. All right, but that's it for the show. Next week, you should tweet at us, and don't tweet questions to GambusCon because he's probably not going to be here. Y'all missed out.
Yeah, y'all missed your chance.
You can tweet at us at N4G Podcast. If you want to follow us on Twitter, Jason is at GambusCon, Ryan is at WombatRP, and fuck, did I mess it up?
Nope, you didn't mess it up.
Okay, I don't know why I have trouble remembering your new Twitter name.
It's been years now.
I know. Shut up. I'm at ZTGD. You can follow the site at ZTGD Content. If you want to shoot us an email, again, which you didn't do, I gave you an hour notice that this was going to be a good show. We're now 2 hours in. That's 3 hours of time. You could have said something. But his podcast is ZTGD.com. And Phoenix Down, I think they're getting close to the end of Lost Odyssey.
I have no idea.
I think Drew said maybe one or two more episodes.
I think they might be in an abyss. Just
Well,
time falling out of their hands.
What's hilarious is like they're doing another Yakuza after this game, right?
They're psychopaths, or what they are. Yeah. And then I can't remember the game after the Yakuza game.
But it's
But
another
that's
big
long,
stupid
too.
long game, yeah.
Fucking.
Oh, this was the year of 3 games or whatever.
No, that was. They've done better. They've played more JRPGs this year than they.
But still, that's a lot, man.
Yeah, but they only played like 4 games that year.
The last game that I tackled that was that big was Like a Dragon, and I loved it, but god damn, I needed a break after I was finished. Fucking ridiculously long games, man. They wear on you.
They will wear on you. It's true.
As I say that as somebody who has 108 days logged in Overwatch.
Good Lord. Have mercy.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, Xbox started tracking time again on games, and I looked up my Overwatch numbers.
It's bad news, Ken.
Oh, I'll give you an accurate count right now. 108 days, 10 hours, 35 minutes.
Wow. That's
No,
insanity, man.
This isn't a problem at all.
Leave me alone, Anthony.
Leave me alone.
I like the video game. It makes me happy. Although the last 2 times I've played, I have just not had good games. I think I
By the
lost.
way, I know I'm not. I don't know why would I do this? Why would I do this to myself? Did you even talk about Jeff Kaplan leaving last week?
I thought we did, didn't we?
I don't remember, man. I probably zoned out for it.
I think Drew and I talked about it. Yeah, Papa Jeff, he left. It
It's all
hurts.
downhill from here.
It hurts, man. I mean, I'm cool with the guy that took over. Like, he's been there since day one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with that. And I heard, I didn't talk about it in the news because y'all fuckers give me shit every time I talk about Overwatch. But he was in an interview recently. Apparently they're making the biggest change they've made to the game since launch very soon.
I just picture him. This is the biggest change we're doing. And he walks over to Twitch, and servers off. And oh, we're done.
Dude, I would cry. You have no idea. I would literally sit in a corner and weep for several hours if I did
No,
not have.
He hits a button. It starts up Team Fortress 2.
This is probably the scariest thing I could say about this game, Anthony, and it'll make you cringe. If somebody hit the reset button on that game and reset everything I've ever done,
No. You're gonna say you do it all again.
I do it all again.
No, God. God, why?
Every single thing I would do again. I would build myself back up in my
Spend the
ranks.
money.
I would collect all my skins.
It's so wrong, man.
Oh,
It's so
dude,
wrong.
I've played so much of that game. I could probably play it with my eyes closed. I've played it so much. I'd probably be in like silver rank, but I could still play it.
Sound like a man that's done a bunch of drugs. Yes. Sound like an addict.
You know what? 108
Do
days,
with
10
my eyes
hours, and
closed.
35
I've done
minutes.
it so much, man.
Dude. You realize I have cooldowns for all 30 plus characters memorized in my head?
What do you mean by that?
So like when you use an ability in that game, I don't even have to look at the UI to tell when it's off cooldown.
Wow.
Like I just know it second nature.
It's like the Force.
Like I can tell you, like
Don't
I can
make
go
this sound
into
cool,
I can go
Campus.
into a fight with
It's
somebody
sad.
and plan out my attacks to know when the cooldowns are going to release, so I know how to plan to go in to do something.
That sounds like a sickness, man, if I'm honest.
You know, I ain't no different than somebody who plays like MMOs for people still playing World of Warcraft, you know? Ain't no different.
Yeah.
Yeah, same company.
Same guy started it, and he just left. Anyway, that's the show this week. Unless somebody has anything else, we'll get out of here. And this week I don't have to insert the audio because he could just do it live, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a live.
Epic fail. Welcome to the N4G podcast. Oh, you can... It's me, Mario. $0.
This is going to be a very interesting episode.
Gather time.
Greetings, programs. I got lost trying to find my way to the secret underground N4G Radio lair.
The Wombat. And
always looking angry.
Killer Wolverine. Play games, not consoles. No fanboys allowed.
And then I killed the dragon. 8.0.
Killed the dragon.